Harper Audio presents The Cavendon Luck by Barbara Taylor Bradford. Read by Anna Bentinck. Part 1. The Inghams and the Swanns, 1938. Predictions. Tinker, tailor, soldier, sailor, rich man, poor man, beggar man, thief. Old English nursery rhyme. Chapter 1. Cecily Swan Ingham stood on the outside steps of the office annex at Cavendon Hall, glancing around. What a change in the weather, she thought. From a gloomy, overcast morning it had become a radiant afternoon. Blue sky, no clouds, brilliant sunlight filtering through the leafy trees. A perfect day in late July. A smile of pleasure touched her face fleetingly. Walking down the steps and crossing the stable yard, she headed for the dirt path through Cavendon Park, which led to Little Skell village. Cecily thought suddenly of her son's birthday earlier in the month, as she strode ahead. It had poured with rain that day, and spoiled their plans for the garden party. The celebration was held indoors in the end. She couldn't help wishing it had been a glorious day like this. On the other hand, David hadn't minded about the weather. It was his 9th birthday, and he had enjoyed every moment, as had his brother, 7-year-old Walter, and their sister Venetia, who was 5. It had been a happy time for the family, and that was what counted most. Their enjoyment derived from the festivities, and what Miles always called the gathering of the clan. Later that night, when they were in bed, Miles had drawn her closer to him, and had wondered out loud where all the years had gone. She had said she didn't know, and had reminded him that time always flew when they were together. He had laughed, and pulled her even closer, stroking her hair. After a moment, she had added that they had been busy raising 3 children, going about their own business and keeping Cavendon safe. She recalled how he had murmured his thanks for all that, had wrapped his arms around her, then slipped on top of her, kissing her, touching her tenderly. Within seconds they were making love to each other with the same excitement and joyousness they had always known. Suddenly, remembering that night so clearly, she couldn't help wondering if he had made her pregnant on their son's 9th birthday. They had both been so eager for each other and intense. It had been a passionate night. The idea of pregnancy lingered. She was 37. If she was pregnant, then so be it. I must think of another child as a gift, because soon my childbearing years will be over. But having a child with war coming... This thought troubled her. She pushed it away and hurried on towards the village. And her mind turned to the huge amount of work she and Miles had done to make Cavendon Hall and the family safe. Her brother Harry had plunged in too, as well as her 4 sisters-in-law. They had been hard years, in so many ways. Each of them had made all sorts of sacrifices, and had frequently used their own money to keep everything afloat. But they had done it. The Inghams and the Swanns pulling together had accomplished miracles. Cavendon was now set on the right course, and it was safe. Yet even now, today, there was that awful little knot in her stomach. Earlier, Cecily had put this down to her worry about Harry, plus her concern for Greta, her personal assistant. But she knew instinctively that neither was the real reason for her anxiety. It was something entirely different, and it troubled her constantly, nagged at her, gave her sleepless nights. Germany's menacing Third Reich was casting a giant shadow across Britain, as it had done for the longest time over Central Europe, and that was causing her tension. The Reich was sinister and dangerous, and the threat of war hovered. Cavendon would be at risk if there was an invasion. The whole country would be at risk, and Europe too, the whole world, actually. She understood that only too well. When Cecily came to the walled rose garden, She paused.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?